We got a call, actually. Let's take a call. We got a call from Tony. Tony, you're on the air?
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you? Welcome to KLEAN Radio.
Thank you. I was listening to the show earlier tonight, and I don't know, I was wondering about what you guys think about 12-step programs and AA in general.
Well, we have a lot of opinions. Where are you coming from your perspective?
Are you the Charlie Sheen side, or?
Well, that's an interesting question, but the way I look at it is this: I was sober for a number of years, and then I decided that I wasn't an addict anymore. And now I'm kind of the opinion, I guess you would say I'm in the Charlie Sheen side of things, because I kind of thinking that the AA meetings are kind of BS now. And my sober friends, they call me up, and they sometimes they talk to me like I'm I'm crazy for.
Are you sober still, or have you moderated your usage, or how do you stand on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I still have my job. I still have. I mean, my life is. I'm controlling and managing my drinking. I mean, I wake up with hangovers sometimes, but I don't see as how I have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But the hard part is that your friends in the 12 steps have sort of like said to you, "C'est la vie."
Well, yeah, I mean, they're kind of a-holes sometimes. I mean, not all of them, I mean, some of them call up and, they just ask me how I am, but for the most part, most of them, they just preach at me and tell me that, I should come back to meetings and I can't unpickle a cucumber or, nonsense like that.
I think that's a tough one, because what I find quite often is that when something works for someone, they tend to become sort of very attached to it.
And they become evangelical about it.
Sometimes, or dogmatic. Yeah. So for those that have gone to, in this case you're saying AA, and AA has kept them sober, and they were having a lot of trouble before that with alcoholism, of course they're going to represent over and over again that that's the way it works. I can tell you in our experience of working at KLEAN Treatment Center, and also Dr. Cohen and private practice in the psychiatric hospitals we've worked in the past, there's whole ranges of different types of addictions, and most people actually do grow out of their addictions. They can actually self-moderate their behavior. But there is a percentage, around 10 to 14% of the population, that are chronic problem drinkers or drug users.
Which is a lot. 10 to 14% is a lot of people.
And which I would consider myself one.
And you consider, right. And I think that, some people need to go out and test it. And, clearly...
But here's the thing, and I would venture to say Andrew agrees with me, Dr. Coe and Mick would probably agree with me, is that we're very content with our own understanding of of where we are in the 12-step world or in meetings and our sobriety, that it wouldn't affect us. If a friend of ours went out, it would affect us, like in the sense we'd be a little scared for them, but we wouldn't be, angry at them. And I think, a lot of people, a lot of times when their friend goes out, sometimes they're almost jealous.
Well, I also think it's defensive, don't you, Dr. Coe? I mean, if somebody's sort of preaching that somebody should do something, is probably them speaking to themselves, right, about their own defense mechanisms.
Most people talk about what works for them.
Right.
And, they tend to understand other people in terms of themselves.
Right. They don't actually look at the person they're speaking to and their behavior and what they can do.
Yeah, they're kibitzing.
Yeah.
Tony, let me ask you this question. What would you want from them?
I don't know. I guess I just wouldn't want them to preach at me as much. And I wish that well, let me put it this way. I wish that I could hang out with my old, like my 12-step friends, but a lot of times, some of them, they'll say things like, well, we don't really have what we used to have in common, or what do we have to talk about? Because we used to, we would go to meetings, and that was cool, but now I go out, or, they don't want to hear about, me, doing cocaine, or, going out and messed up with my friends, and,
That's a threat to them.
Yeah, I think that you have to be somewhat realistic that people who have a real problem with cocaine or alcohol don't want to be triggered by conversation or descriptions of stories of people having fun on cocaine or drinking. And people who really are addicts and can't control themselves once they start drinking or using things like cocaine or other drugs. Those are triggers, and so they have to be able to remove themselves from that. The defensiveness of actually preaching might be their concern for you, so I wouldn't take it personally or get angry about it. But I wouldn't necessarily either think that you should have an expectation of being super friendly with people that have a drastically different lifestyle than you do now.
You know what, Tony, too? I got asked to do a show. I'm on hiatus. I spend, my day gig is writing for TV, but I do a lot of stand-up comedy, and I was supposed to do this talk show that got moved into somebody's house. It was going to be at a nightclub. And I got no problem going into nightclubs, and I was just in Las Vegas, and there was drug use in front of me. But they said in this house that it was a 420 friendly house, so that people were just going to be sitting in the living room, and they were going to film it, and people were just going to be smoking weed. Right. And I had to gratuitously decline just because I don't want to sit there amongst that, or even have the conversations that I know I'd be having in that type of environment. And I wouldn't go
inhale that.
Yeah, or inhale it, and get a contact high. Yeah. But there's, and this is not in defense of any organization where you can get sober, because during the break, Tony, we were just saying there was a sign that in this place that I went to in New York that said there's no wrong way to get sober. If it's your way and you like it, then that's great. People in the rooms and out of the rooms, there's that saying, thank God, not everybody's sick on the same day. There's a lot of people that are struggling, and you never know what kind of cross this other guy's carrying when he's coming at you, trying to, try to clean up your side of the street. Maybe you just need to go and find a different spot where you can hang out with guys, and get off some steam. There's that fellowship that's great.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part too, is when you cross, in Tony's case, and I don't want to speak for you, Tony, but it's like, who are your friends at that point? Because if you're out drinking in a bar, and your friends, and you are using drugs, those aren't always the best friends.
Well, some of them are, some of them aren't, and I don't think that's really for us to decide.
No, that's why I'm saying I'm not speaking for Tony. Right. I'm saying maybe that's something he's going through too.
Right.
Is that the people that are actually calling are the people from the 12-step meetings, the guy that you... Am I wrong, Tony?
Well, let's put it this way. I miss some of my old friends from, 12-step meetings that I used to go to, but I just wish they wouldn't, be such a-holes at,
Well, Tony, it's funny because there's a bit of ambivalence. On one side, I sort of hear, I really like these 12-step friends and I like what they're doing, but then I'm very attached also to wanting to have the ability to drink and use drugs and engage in whatever behavior I want. And I think that, like a lot of things in life, you can't have everything. That there's choices that one makes, and if one decides that one wants to use and drink, then there's certain people that aren't going to hang out with you. And if you choose to be sober, there's probably people that use and drink that, don't want to hang out with you. A lot of people that drink don't want to hang out with people that are sober because it makes them feel uncomfortable. And I think a common experience for people when they get sober is they find friends that are like, oh, here, come on, have a drink. And they want them to drink with them so they can feel comfortable. So, it's on both sides of the street. There's, a lot of peer pressure.
It's not easy.
Tony, listen, man, no matter what, just be careful with the coke, because it's no joke, especially when we get older. It's, it can kill you. Just be careful. I'm not telling you what to do, whether to do it or
Right, you're not saying it in the 12-step sense. You're just saying it in the pure health sense.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, it is what it is, but just, be on guard, man, because when we get older, and I lost a good pal last year that went out and had some time.
Right.
It's on cocaine, and it wasn't even a lot. It's just, it kicked... I can't swear.
Well, that's the other thing.
Just really beat up his heart, and he just dropped dead.
One thing we keep saying is 58% of the people that have overdoses from drugs is a mixture of drugs and alcohol, multiple substances. It's not just one thing. So, there's synergistic effects, and so it's tough. But, Tony, I hope we answered your call, and please call us again on another show. And it was a pleasure to hear your opinion.
See you, Tony.
Guys.
What do you think, Jason? Dr. Coe?
Yeah.
That was an interesting call.
Yeah, good point about there are health effects that cocaine gets the heart. Alcohol, builds up in the system, eventually, gets the brain, can get your liver.
It's funny because, we sit here and we say cocaine, and, people say cocaine, and all of a sudden everybody gets really worried about it, and it's like, oh, cocaine. But alcohol is probably, you go into an ER on a Saturday night, and cocaine is not as prevalent as a problem as alcohol. I mean, you walk into an ER on a Saturday night, it just reeks of alcohol.
Alcohol.
It is everywhere. I mean,
well, don't forget the opiates and the benzos.
And people always say that to me. People always go, you know, because I just drank. I'm one of those rare dinosaurs that just drank, and people are constantly saying to me, my God, it must have been really hard for you.
Right.
Because everywhere you go...
Oh, you only used alcohol?
I only drank.
Maybe you just drank right now.
No, not yet.
Because you were doing that funny dance.
No, you see, but I could dance without the booze. So it makes, you know, that's what makes life special.
Judah, you can't dance.
I can't dance.
Take a break on that one. Come back to KLEAN Radio. All right, no more coffee for Judah. We found out that's his dopamine substance.
It's music.
Right?
Also, you know, I just want to talk about that quickly, because when I first got sober, it was so important for me to find out what I love to do. You know, and whether it was, and I didn't know how I was going to do certain things. I mean, I used to get emotional.
I still don't know how you're going to do certain things.
That's exactly the truth. And that's going to be therapy soon with Dr. Co.
Right.
But I had a hard time watching Giant games. You know, football Giant games. When the Giants would lose, it would affect me. I'd be like emotionally just...
They've done studies on sports games, and they took testosterone levels of men watching. It was actually football, like European football, and they took testosterone levels before the game and then after the game, and the winning team, people watching, had much higher levels of testosterone, and the losers, their testosterone levels diminished. Like,
are you saying they become women? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not going to say that, Judah, but any hate mail can go to Judah at
KLEAN Center. You know, that's where you give my regular email address. Hey, Ben Hur. But and I had to find out these things, though. But I had to go to, you know, I love going to sporting events. I love going to concerts, and I love doing certain things. And I had to learn how to do them sober. But once I did, it was great. You know, I can't tell you how much fun I have going out to Manhattan. You know, going to a comedy club, going... You know, and living life.
Do you find that you sometimes become randomly and awkwardly antisocial?
Like right now?
What does that mean?
Is me being pantless making you uncomfortable right now?
Yes, it is. We told everybody all you have to wear is shirts, because that's all the cameras shoot.
This is my risky business outfit.
And you actually took us up on it.
Dr. Co had a question for you there. He wanted to know what you meant.
Well, I find sometimes, like literally, I just came from a party. I knew everybody at the party. I was really great relationships with everybody, but in the middle of the party, I just got randomly and awkwardly antisocial, and I felt kind of just caught up in it. And
I'll tell you what. Last night,
do you mean antisocial or self-conscious?
Whatever.
Probably they're probably in
one
the
and
same.
The same. Yeah, I mean.
Last night I went out and I was at
they appear to be anyway.
I was at a birthday party last night. I got invited out, and it was the whole time they kept on bringing drinks to. I mean, it's so funny. When I got sober, that's the only time in my life I ever got as many free drinks as I wanted to. Nobody was like offering me sweets at Madison Square Garden.
You got them before. You just drank them and didn't notice.
That's true. I never got invited back. And so I was at this party last night, and I was with Tony Dennison, and and I said to him at a certain point, I said, everybody's insecure. Like, I looked around the room and I realized everybody at this party was doing something to get attention. And when I came to that conclusion last night, I don't think I'm that off. And I realized, okay, it's okay. You know, and I went out, I smoked a cigarette, and I was with the other antisocial smokers outside.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, that happens sometimes where
well, there's still a self-awareness to it. I mean, I was aware that it was happening, but, you know, pre-sobriety, that I'd be on tilt, and I wouldn't know why. And so then I would be reacting to that, which would cause an even larger reaction. I'd be feeding into that, and wouldn't really. And then the drinks would make everything better.
Right, but you know what used to drive me crazy. I used to come home after a night out with friends in sobriety, and I start going, oh my God, what did I say? What did I? You know, there were all these things.
Tapes, yeah.
Because you remember.
Right, now you just remember. You said the same things.
Yeah, that's exactly right.